Hey everyone. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up video to the video that I posted yesterday, the one that I did about my struggle with anxiety and depression. I just kind of wanted to go a little more in depth with it and kind of explain like how it affects me personally and whatnot. And I feel like talking about it is important because people should know that it's okay to have mental illnesses. It's okay to have depression. It's okay to have anxiety and everything. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it, and it's kind of a perfect day to do it. It's super rainy and gloomy outside, and I'm just kind of like sitting here with a cup of tea, which I'm waiting for it to like steep so I can actually drink it. Um, so I just wanted to kind of like have a little chat about it and how it affects me in my day-to-day life. Depression is probably the first of my mental illnesses that I actually like knew about. I like that was the first one that I guess I recognized for myself. And the anxiety was a little harder to figure out, but depression was definitely very prominent and very obvious in my life. I suffered with a lot of body issues. I used to be super, super skinny. I was like 110 pounds at my biggest. And, I was like this waif of a human being. And, I suffered with this whole thing of being like, I was underweight, and not in a like an unhealthy way, but, I would get sick a lot easier. I would, it was really hard to find clothes that fit me that weren't like kid size. So it was, and I mean, that sounds really stupid when you think about it, but, I struggled with that a lot. And, then I went from that to getting pregnant with my daughter, and I put on 60 pounds with that pregnancy, and then another 30 after that. And I went up to almost 200 pounds. And for reference, I'm 5'3". Okay, I am a short, tiny little thing. 200 pounds is way unhealthy for me. All right, like that's not a healthy weight. And you know, I uh, I struggled really badly with body image issues, and I kind of have all my life. Um, I when I put weight on, it goes straight to my gut. It doesn't go like the places that I want it to. It doesn't go to my butt. It doesn't go to my chest. God, I wish it would go to my freaking chest. But no, it goes to my gut. So I constantly look like I'm about 6 months pregnant, and even now I'm down to a much healthier weight. I'm down to about, I think I'm sitting at 155 right now, and I'm a little heavy right now, heavy. But I'm down to a much healthier weight, and I still look like I'm 6.5 months pregnant because that's where all my weight goes. And doesn't matter how many crunches I do or anything like that, I look pregnant. And I've kind of struggled with that a little bit, because there's that whole societal thing, and that's a big factor in making me feel bleh about myself, and like yeah, I have body image issues sometimes. I'm in a much better place nowadays. I love my body a lot more than I used to, and I'm comfortable with my body at this point. It's birthed two children. It has, it's provided for them. I breastfed both my kids, so it has provided nourishment for them. And it, no matter how no matter how much I've struggled with it, there's always been that, I'm covered in stretch marks. And like, most people would actually be really self-conscious about that, but my stretch marks I've come to really love. I just imagine that I'm a fierce tiger and I've earned my stripes. That's kind of how I got over that one, I guess. But I actually really love my stretch marks, and I kind of love showing them off, actually. In the summertime, I don't cover them up. I wear crop tops. I wear short shorts, I wear the low cut shirts. I have stretch marks on my chest, too, because my boobs actually, like, expanded for the first time in my life. I had to have two kids and get really fat to do it. But hey, I got like normal sized boobs out of the deal, so there was that. Um, but I joke around a lot about like, oh, I'm so fat. I love my cheeseburgers. I eat like a horse because I love food. I have a double chin, and I'm still a little self conscious about that one sometimes, but I've kind of come to deal with it. But I don't use fat to put myself down. I use it as a descriptor word now. I'm fat because you know a good 60% of my body is fat. There's not a lot of muscle. I don't work out or anything, even though I probably should. But it's just a descriptor word for me. It's not like a thing. But I digress a little bit. There's that. As far as the depression goes, I guess a list of symptoms would be, I have the typical, it's hard to get out of bed a lot of days. I feel sad a lot, but not like, it's not like a, constantly crying type of thing. Um, it's not like a really down on myself sadness. It's more of a melancholy, more of an ennui sort of thing. I get bored very easily. Um, I have a hard time focusing. Um, I tend to kind of go off into la la land a little bit. And there are just times where I just feel diminished. I feel less than my peers, not in that I'm worth less, but just like um I feel like I don't do as much. I feel like, I don't put myself out there. It's really hard to, you know, go out and do things and find new things to enjoy. And it's really hard for me to go out and actually try new things, which is also, that kind of goes part and parcel with my anxiety, which lately has been the more prominent thing in my life. My anxiety, I don't get panic attacks in like, I get the, like the chest pains and the heart racing and the, I don't get the like heart attack panic attacks. I get the stroke panic attacks, which, from what I've read and what I've heard from other people, are a little less common. I get dizzy. I get these weird pressure spots in my head where it feels like somebody is holding their finger against my head, but there's nothing there. I get nauseous, I get shaky, I get clammy, my arms go numb, I start to hyperventilate because I do think I'm having a stroke. And luckily that hasn't happened in quite a while, but that's how that affects me when it gets too much. I'm constantly tense. I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and my neck anyways. I get tension headaches because of it, but on top of that, I am constantly tense. Even laying in bed at night, I can't fully relax my body. I have to actually focus on relaxing my body and untensing it, because it is constant. It's a constant state of awareness. I am aware of everything around me. Every little tick and twitch of my body is like it's like a heightened sensation thing. I've actually had it suggested to me that I get like tested for autism because of it. Which, like, I don't think I'm autistic. Just gonna throw that out there. I think it's actually just due to my mental illnesses that I have the heightened awareness and everything. And, I also have a mild form of PTSD. I was abused as a kid. My parents weren't always kind to me. And, like, I have a standing relationship with my parents. We've mostly moved past it. And I think, having grown up, I have understood some of the things that they were going through. My mom dealt with alcoholism, depression. Um, I often thought, borderline personality disorder at times, or potentially bipolar disorder. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't just go and diagnose her. And, that's kind of up to her to, figure that out. But, definitely alcoholism and definitely depression. Um, and there was a really rough time where I literally would refuse to speak to either of my parents because they were both kind of completely awful to me. My dad would constantly tell me that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't being good enough. I wasn't doing all that I should have been doing. And, both my parents would, they would slut shame me. Um, I tend to have a significantly more progressive idea of how to dress myself. And even at a younger age, it would be hot out and I'd be out in the backyard and I would roll my tank top up and tuck it into my bra because, it was 95 degrees out and humid as hell. I was sweating balls, you know? So I was out in the backyard doing stuff in the backyard or whatever, yard work or just playing around, and it was hot. So, yeah, I rolled my tank top up and I was wearing short shorts, because it was hot. And, I was never afraid to wear, like, a two-piece swimsuit. And I would walk around like that, and I wouldn't be afraid to, wear the low-cut shirts or anything like that. And I would often get told that I was dressing like a hooker, I was dressing like a slut, I was, asking for bad things to happen to me. I literally got told by, I forget which of my parents, but I literally got told that I was asking to be raped. And, you know, you kind of internalize those things at a young age. I started playing around with makeup when I was, God, God, I was a little kid when I started like playing around with it, but I started like really wanting to wear it when I was about 10. And when I wasn't allowed to wear makeup out of the house until I was 14, except for special occasions, like, there was a wedding or a chorus concert, and then my mom would put like a little bit of sparkle on my eyes and a little bit of lip gloss, and that was makeup. Um, and like I had by the time I was 12, I had my own makeup and stuff. It was like I had like this I thought this was the coolest thing. It was like a roll-on eyeshadow and it was like in like a lip gloss too, but it was eyeshadow and you rolled it on your eyes and I thought that was the coolest thing. But I had that and I had like a little eyeshadow palette from the dollar store and I had like stupid little fun colors, the same kind of stuff that like my kids now have. And actually, my kids have probably more than I did because they have lipstick instead of lip gloss, and I actually gave them mascara and eyeliner. But I would play around with makeup, and I would come downstairs, and I did my time with the awkward bright blue eyeshadow and bright pink lipstick, and I would come downstairs, and a lot of times I would get told that I looked like a whore, and I look back on that and I go, really? Are you serious right now? Because, it was a form of creative expression. I've always been interested in makeup and instead of fostering that, my parents would put me down about it. And, um, I got bullied a lot when I was a kid. I actually, when I was a lot younger, when I was in, first, second grade, I was living in a really bad neighborhood. There were, it was a really poor neighborhood. There weren't a lot of white families, and I'm not saying that like that's the reason that it was bad, but because I was part of the minority in that particular neighborhood, I got bullied for being, the white kid, and that kind of also uh, that kind of spurred on part of my body image issues because I this is kind of like a funny little thing, but when I was in first grade, I went to a school of about 450 kids altogether. Out of that 450 kids, there were four of us that were white. The other three white kids were Hispanic. So they weren't even really white. They were just like paler. I was the perfect little blonde haired, blue eyed Aryan beauty, and everybody hated me for it. And growing up, now that I'm an adult, I understand why. You know, there's all this like racism and everything. Hi, Oscar. And I understand why they had the prejudices that they had, and I don't fault them for it. Excuse me, you're being very rude. But at the same time, I was 6. I didn't know why they hated my blonde hair. I didn't know why they hated my blue eyes. I was looking at these gorgeous black girls, and when I was a kid, they had it was like the trend to have all the pony beads in the hair and the beautiful braids and the big twisted pigtails with the chunky ball ponytail holders at the bottom. And I remember thinking that was the coolest thing, and I didn't understand why I thought these girls were so beautiful and they thought I was so ugly. Um, so it a lot of it was environmental, but I also do have the hereditary predisposition for it as well. On my mother's side, there's a lot of anxiety and depression. Alcoholism is a huge thing, actually, on both sides of my family. From my father's side, my dad actually does suffer from anxiety, and he has his own PTSD. Um, and his is less of the CPTSD, which is what I have, which is it's more abuse and trauma based rather than like um, traumatic experience based, which is what my dad has. He was in the military, so his PTSD comes from that. Mine comes from more subtle trauma and like the abuse that I suffered when I was a kid. I ended up in a emotionally abusive relationship with a guy when I was in college, and actually ended up losing touch with a lot of my friends. I wasn't allowed to go out without his permission. He would constantly be asking me where I was, what I was doing, who I was with. um, I had to walk on eggshells. His family, I almost had to get a restraining order against because they were threatening my life. They I to this day still occasionally wake up because I hear a weird noise, and I think it's them breaking into my house to kill me, and we've been broken up for almost 8 years. So, it that sort of thing never really goes away. So, it's something that I've learn to manage, but there is no cure as of right now for this sort of thing. There's no um there's no magic fix. Even taking medication, that's just maintenance. That doesn't cure it. It doesn't fix it. You have to remember to take your pills every single day. If I miss one, I'm like okay, but I'm a little cranky. But if I miss more than a day, I immediately get the mood swings. Um I get really stressed. I get angry a lot easier. I get the eczema flare ups because stress can actually affect my skin disorders that I have. I say disorders, it's not really a disorder, it's just really dry skin. But it's, I guess, considered a disorder because I have chronic eczema. So I guess that's a disorder. I don't really consider it a disorder. I just consider it like my skin is shit. But if I don't take care of myself and make sure that I take my medication, or if I don't refill it on time, I become less than what I want to be. I become very emotional. I have rapid mood swings. I get a lot more tense. I'm a lot more prone to have the panic attacks. Little noises affect me, just little constant noises like, um, if the dog is barking constantly for like 5 minutes straight, just constantly, it grates on my nerves, and not in a way like, oh my God, you're so annoying, you need to stop. It's like, I want to kill it. I want to run. I want to kill it. I want to do something. I just have to make that noise stop. And, it's like a visceral reaction to it. It's angry. It's almost violent reaction, and I have to stifle it. Um, And it's this very strange thing to have taken my medication for so long and then have to go back to that, and it's weird for me. So, there is that. But it's like weird little ticks that I have, and it's not like, because it affects everybody differently. All of the things that I go through aren't things that other people are going to go through. And certain things, there's certain of my symptoms that are heightened because they're from both the anxiety and the depression, like the mood swings and the anger at noise, the insomnia. I get that sometimes too, with or without my medication. I just have nights where I can't sleep. I can't quiet my brain. And it's, no matter what I do, I meditate, listen to music. I have white noise apps on my phone, anything. I have to basically exhaust myself so that I can go to sleep some nights, because, it gets really hard. And then if I don't sleep, it's a lot harder to mentally manage the mental load that goes on inside my head. It's a constant battle. And I know maybe if you've, done any research into it or anything, like a that's like a word that's consistently used, is battle, but it really feels like that. It feels like you're fighting yourself every single day, and you're fighting to get out of bed, you're fighting to remember to eat, you're fighting to get to sleep at night, you're fighting to just stay calm and not have that panic attack. And it's a very real thing that the fear of having another panic attack can lead to panic attacks. So it's walking on eggshells all the time. And like, oh, see, I'm doing it right now. I'm like hypertense and my back is starting to spasm. It's, for me, it is constant pain because every muscle in my body is tensing all the time. And, like, I'm okay. I'm I'm one of the happy cases that can manage it and I can make it through. But, you know, it's funny because you list off all these symptoms that I deal with, and, people are like, oh my God, how do you live? Because I literally am in constant pain. I'm achy all the time. My back always hurts. My neck is constantly in agony. Like, it's almost excruciating. I get headaches almost daily because of the tension in my neck and my shoulders. You know, it, it it's it's a fight to exist, but I also have a lot of good things going for me too. Let me just throw that out there. I want to put that caveat on there. I have a lot of good things going for me. I have an immense support network that I have built for myself. I have a lot of really good friends who understand, um, why I am the way I am. And, um, I have a family that loves me. For all the bad things that I say about my parents, they've also, they've been through a lot of shit too. And they've also, recognized that I'm an adult now. I make my own decisions. I pay my own bills. And, you know, we have kind of like a long distance relationship. I physically live very far away from them, but when we do visit, it's good visits now. And having the kids and everything too, they come and they visit their grandkids, and it's not stress. It's not, I feel obligated. I want them to visit the kids. I want, my parents to come and visit again, which is, kind of a good thing. So for all the bad things, there's also a lot of good things too. And, I've mostly forgiven my parents for the things that they've done. I know I spent a lot of time in this video talking about all the bad things that they did, but I have forgiven them. And, I talk to them. I just saw my dad, for Mother's Day, which was a couple weeks ago, and I'm seeing my mom this weekend. So, we do actually, talk to each other and everything. So we've managed to move past it. I don't fault them, for some of the things that they did. I talk about it. I'm not gonna just sweep it under the rug and pretend that I wasn't abused as a kid. I'm not gonna pretend that, things didn't happen. But at the same time, I have grown up and I've got a better understanding of why those things happened. And I'm not going to make excuses, but I'm also not going to linger on it, you know? So, it's just kind of like a thing that I feel like I should be open about. And I feel like maybe talking about this sort of thing and doing the YouTube videos and whatnot. And I also post these videos on my Facebook page. I feel like, maybe somebody will watch it and be like, oh, wow, I kind of go through something similar. And, you know, she's doing okay. Maybe I'll do okay, because I really am at this point. I'm doing so much better. And I do take into account certain privileges that I have. I am, able to get medical care through my husband, and I have health insurance, so I can go and I can go to the doctor and I can seek the care that I need. But I also have a lot of other self-coping mechanisms that I've been using that got me through for a very long time. So, you know, even if you can't reach medical care, there are other things that you can do, and there's resources available online to give you information and all of that. So, even if you can't get medical care, you can at least try to figure out something else, and or at least figure out how to get medical care. So, there is that. This is something that's really important to me. I want to help to destigmatize mental illnesses, and I don't want people to think that they're weak or broken because they have mental illnesses. You know, I'm not weak. I'm a very strong person, actually. Despite struggling with my mental illnesses a lot, I actually consider myself a very strong person. Um, and I consider myself stronger because of it. So, um, I think I want to kind of pay that forward, and I want to use my confidence to maybe hopefully give other people some confidence. It's partially why I decided to go into makeup, because it can be a huge confidence boost. You got a double chin, contour that shit. Your eyes aren't as big as you want them to be, contour them out, make them look bigger. There's things that makeup can do that can help you feel more comfortable with yourself. So, it's kind of a big deal for me. These two things kind of go hand in hand for me. So I just wanted to kind of go a little more in depth about it and talk about it a little more. And if this helps you, then I'm really glad. And if it doesn't, if this is annoying, then I guess you don't have to watch the video. There's back button for a reason. So thank you for watching. You know, like I said, this is something that's kind of important to me. So, I hope that this might help somebody, and maybe even if it's just one person that I get through to. You're important and you're loved and you're so worth it. So, don't give up, because I didn't, and I ended up being okay. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So I just want to make sure that that gets out there. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble about my bullshit, I guess. So thanks a lot for listening to me ramble and whatnot. And I'll see you guys all again for another video. Mwah! Love you all. Bye bye.